deliver. Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the...
Hello there, you're welcome to the channel. Ooh, when it rains, it pours. So, Nigerian football fans, the Nigerian under-20 side Flying Eagles will be taking on, the Senegalese side in the AFCON under-20, tournament. Oh my God! Stop! Apologies for that. Apologies for that. But I'll be right back. Yeah, apologies for that. So, Nigeria will be taking on Senegal in the quarterfinals of the under-20 AFCON. Wow. And I think that, the last video I did, we're all on here talking about, complaining about how poor, this side has been. Now that we're going up against one of the best sides, in the competition, one of the best, overall national teams in Africa, in Senegal. So for me, that's not a game I'm really looking forward to. Maybe you can make an argument to say sometimes you see teams can struggle at the group stage and then they get to, the knockout rounds and hit a new vein of form and begin to play very, very well. But for me, I've looked at this side. The players are not fantastic. They're not very good. 100% they're not very good. And then you combine that with the fact that the coach himself, it's not good. It's not very tactically astute. Overall, not good. So when you combine those two factors, then you begin to struggle to see how Nigeria defeats this side. Areli Korabo has shown that he is very good with the finish he had against, Kenya in that 2-2 draw. He's shown the work ethic he has. He's shown that he can make those runs into the box. But the question is the build-up play, how the team plays, from back to front. How would the ball get to him? Who is that creative spark in the midfield? Who is that exciting, delightful winger, on either side of the pitch, on either side, on either flank? There is none you can point your fingers to. We've seen Olise play as a six, a defensive midfielder in front of the back four. We've seen him play as a winger. That just tells you that it's madness. How do you have someone playing, as a defensive midfielder and then doubles up in another game as a right winger? I know now this is the era of crazy football things where, for instance, in the Chelsea game, you saw Cucurella and Reece James playing in defensive midfield. But that doesn't fly. It just doesn't work. So, and even though Lisa I'm talking about in his particular role, he's not that good. So look at the defensive line. Some people are saying Bami, but Bami for me has just been okay. He hasn't been great. But even at that, he is a defender. So where would the creative spark come from? Where would that creativity come from? Where are you getting that creativity? How will you get these goals coming up against a side like Senegal? Well, like I said, I'll always watch the games. I'll always go in there, with fresh eyes, go in there to support the team. Hopefully they can turn the corner. But from what we've seen so far, they haven't been really, really good this time around. So for me, it's really going to be a struggle. It's really going to be a struggle. And this boils down to poor constitution, poor construction of a team. Poor construction of a team. I say this in the previous stream. For a country like Nigeria, with the amount of talents we have in terms of home base, if you're talking about just players with Nigerian nationality alone, very amazing talents, very gifted players. Then if you're talking about dual nationals as well, very gifted players. So how somehow Nigeria was unable to put a team together of 23, 24, top level players, top level young players is just beyond me. Beyond me. Look at the good job the various grassroots academies are doing. Look at the players they produce. Look at how they're able to get them to clubs like Benfica, get them to clubs like Inter Milan. Get them to to club, to clubs, other clubs in Europe. So how are they able to do this? And the NFF are able to, plug into that and say, okay, wow, this player, we're going to get this player. This player is exciting. Look at what the exciting talents you have overseas. You have, as in like the dual nationals overseas, that they're exciting talents. What prevents you from going to get these players? This is really, as we say, wahala, big time wahala. Because it's not just the constitutional, it's not just how the way the team has been playing has been bad. Now, if the team was playing poorly, but you could still see some sparks, exciting midfielder, exciting winger, exciting fullback. It's okay, this team is struggling, but okay, maybe they'll come good, their quality will kick in, going into the knockout rounds. But we haven't seen that. Tactically, the coach has been poor. And then we have to talk about it. The way we build our teams, what the Nigerian Football Federation looks at in putting the team together is not what anybody or organization that wants to win trophies, that want to win titles will be looking at. Because I don't think that looking at quality. I don't think that they're looking at winning. I just think that they're looking at the national team, whether it is Flying Eagles or under 17 national team, in this case, the Flying Eagles, as a compensation package. You're my man, you're my friend, I'm in the seat now, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to give you the job. Because you can't tell me that with all the scouts you have, Shalom Godono, you could not see him. With all the scouts you have, when you Bucho Basi, you could not see him. You want to tell me that with all the scouts you have, Promise Meliga, you could not see any of those players. You couldn't see any of those, and you decided to go for these ones who are obviously not good enough. And with all the coaches in these grassroots teams, with all the coaches in the MPFL, you can't tell me Zubairu is the best option you could get. You can't tell me that that's the best option you could get. Now, speaking about the game, do I think probably Nigeria has a chance? Of course you have a chance. If today I go into, the boxing ring with my prime Mike Tyson, at least I have a 0.5% chance out of 100. But that's not the kind of chance you should be considering when you want to win anything, when you want to win a tournament like the AFCON. That is not the kind of thing you want to be looking at. That's not the kind of thing you want to be expecting. So I'll come back to this topic again. I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on the Senegal game. Do you think that Nigeria has an opportunity, has a chance in the game? Do you think they do? Because for me, right now, there's no silver lining to this one. I just think Nigeria will miss Senegal and get beat and go home. So I've never felt like this about, especially an age grade Nigerian side. I've always had hope, because you always see someone to excite you in the game. But for this one, there's no excitement. I've not seen any excitement, whatsoever. And then I'll come back to this topic, but I want to talk about something next. The next one next topic I want to talk about is Felix Agu. Apparently, they say the NFF is awaiting the FIFA's clearance or approval of a supposed nationality switch. I don't know how true those stories are. I don't know how concrete it is if he has even filed his that application to switch his nationality allegiance. I don't know about that, but we all know that he wants to play for Nigeria. He said it in an interview. I've done a video about that as well. He said it in an interview that he wants to play for Nigeria. That it would be it would be a great honor for him to play for Nigerian Super Eagles. It would be an honor, it would be a way to bring joy to his family, as his father would love him to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So it's something that I would be excited to see because he is a unique talent. He's a unique talent in the sense that African National will check your channel for everything about Africa. Okay, our channel for everything about African football players. Well, cool. Don't worry, we'll probably do something together, my brother. That's fine. So back to the point I was making now. Yeah. So you see the way the team is. Okay, so he has decided that he wants to play for Nigeria. He's left for the NFF to do what they need to do, and I want to see. I really want to understand if he's really put in the application to switch. But I believe he wants to play because in that interview he said it quite clear that he would love to play for Nigeria to bring joy to his family, to be a thing of pride for him to play for Nigeria. I think he will be a very, very good addition because he's a special player. Because the kind of ability he has, he can invert, he can play as an inverted fullback, which is something that's suddenly becoming, very, should I say, fanciful in modern day football. And he can also play as a typical left back or left wing back, and as well play, as a left winger if there is acute need for it, because I don't want to see my left back playing as a left winger because you may be a very attacking left winger or even a very attacking left back, a very attacking left wing back even, but the expectations of a left winger are quite different, very very different. Yes, you would require pace to play any of those roles. You require good crossing to play any of those roles. You require the ability to score some goals, but the expectation to create in an attacking sense is more on the right. It's more on the left winger. So, but it's good news for me to hear that he is likely going to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles, and just the NFF are awaiting his awaiting FIFA's decision. So let's hope and see what happens. Now, speaking about people who are switching nationalities to play for Nigerian Super Eagles, for me, I think in addition to Felix Agu, because I think Felix Agu will be a 2-for-1 special. That's the way I look at it. Because in that interview that he did with Omar Akatuba, he did say that he and another Nigerian eligible player that both play for Werder Bremen, and he does say this for Werder Bremen. He said in an interview that both of them would love to play for Nigeria. That it would bring that they discuss about it, talk about it. That it's a thing that will bring joy to their respective families. So I think if he makes the move, I think Justin Jima will be very, very close behind. And I think that's another person that can contribute to the national team. So for me, excited to see that come true, see that come to fruition. And other players I want to see make this switch. Ethan Waneri is somebody I would love to make that switch. He is special. I don't know why he's not playing at the minute. He's not playing as he should be playing for Arsenal. I don't know if it's an injury he's nursing, but he's sat on the bench in the Champions League fixture. I don't know why he's not playing, but I want to say this. There's usually this PR thing that happens each time a player begins to look like he wants to play for an African country. It always happens. I just hope that's not the case. I hope it's something more technical or tactical by Mikel Arteta. Maybe that's it. And if that's the case and he's not getting game time, then you should consider leaving Arsenal. That's it for me. As a young player, you know what that you're good enough. You've come on the pitch and you've proved it. Then there's no point for you to be on the bench. Now, everyone is praising Lamine Yamal for being this special talent, this exceptional talent. If a coach hadn't believed in him and given him time on the pitch, then you wouldn't see that he's good enough. Simply Ethan Waneri, he's come on the pitch, he's shown you that how special he can be. So I don't know why he is not playing. But he is another one. I'm hoping, praying that he comes on to play for Nigeria because he adds something unique to the team. And when you even think about it, he is someone that could have quite easily played for this under 20 team because he's still very, very young. He's someone that could have quite easily played for this under 20 team. And then looking at other players that I would love to switch, there are a lot of them because as a player they look at, and I think these players can really contribute to the team. As for John Lenny Canada doesn't have to switch; he's still a Nigerian citizen anyway. He just has right to live in France, so that one is there. And then of course you have Rio Ngoma, you have Wisdom Mike. These are players I think then if we should be looking at broadly, not just for the Super Eagles, but for every other Nigerian national team. And then, of course, there's Divine Iyomachi, another very good one. So you have all these exciting players there. Get them in. Get them in. And if I may go back to the under 20 team, I've said this, it's not just about dual nationals alone switching to play for Nigeria or not. It's about getting top level talent to play because you even have some ones in the grassroots that are not being used. You even have players in the grassroots that are not being used, that are not being tapped into. So for me, I think that's something that is an absolute must, absolute must. And just to say, the Unity Cup is coming. It will be later on this month. So hopefully, I'll be bringing you some content live from the stadium. So hopefully, keep your eyes peeled on this channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Share this video live stream to people you feel will love this sort of content. So now, what else do we want to talk about today? Yeah, so they've been talked about Victor Osimhen transfers and all those kind of things. For me, nothing concrete as yet. Although you having clubs like Chelsea saying, they're interested in signing him. Some reports are saying his wages are too much. I think the Chelsea thing would become more concrete if Chelsea qualifies for the Champions League. That's the way I see it. Because I think the Champions League would mean more investment, more sponsorship deals, more revenue generated that would come in, and then that would mean Chelsea can spend even more, and then they can go on to sign Victor Osimhen, if indeed that's the striker they want to sign. And then for me, Tolu Arokodare as well is another one that I think maybe he's done so well for Genk, and maybe he should begin to consider his future. Now, there's talk of Newcastle. There's talk of Newcastle United. I think that would be a great move for him, especially if Isak does leave Newcastle. But then again, I think it all depends on Isak leaving for one, and I think Isak leaving Newcastle would only happen if he leaves, if Liverpool fail to qualify for the Champions League. That's why I say it, because I think if Liverpool qualify for the Champions League, Isak would feel a bit indebted that he wants to stay, at least give them one more season and play the Champions League with them. But if that doesn't happen, then I think he would leave Liverpool, and then that would then mean someone like Tolu Arokodare could then be, a nice target for Newcastle. Also, here talks about Brighton Said Samuel. Brighton Said Samuel leaving Fenerbahce, not agreeing to sign a contract renewal to head back to English football. We heard that clubs like Crystal Palace are interested in him, and Crystal Palace, they play with a back three, so possibly he's coming to play as a right wing back. So let's see how that happens if indeed it does. And then talking about more Nigerian talent, Victor Musa has been on fire for Manchester United age grade teams. He's been scoring goals. Nicholas Onyekunle is another one, been scoring tons of goals. So those are players that should be looked at in my humble opinion. So going back to this AFCON under 20 team, in this AFCON under 20 tournament, the Flying Eagles, what do you think really, what's your prediction going into that game? What do you think will be the outcome? First off, do you think Nigeria indeed has a chance in that game? Do you think Nigeria, the Flying Eagles of Nigeria, if they have a chance in that game? For me, I don't see the chance. I'll go in there and I'll support the team. I'll shout my lungs out, but I don't really see them, having a chance to play against the Senegal, because Kenya, quite frankly, should feel hard done by because they were the better side in that game. Nigeria had possession, but it was what you would call empty calories, calories that add nothing of value to you. So it had a lot of possession, but it really didn't contribute anything to the team. Each time the Kenya national team, under 20 team, had the ball, they always looked dangerous. They always looked, like they could cause havoc in the Nigerian 18-yard area. Their players were gliding past the Nigerian defenders like they were not there. So I can only imagine what would happen against Senegal. I can only imagine what happened against Senegal in that quarterfinal. And I think it's very important because if the team is able to qualify for the semifinals, then they automatically, I think, qualify for the under-20 World Cup. So I think that's how that happens. So it will be good if they can at least get to the semi-final. I don't see it happening though. I don't see how that happens. Against the Senegalese side, especially the way the team has been playing, especially the way the team has been constructed, and the lack of football IQ coming off from the bench, from the dugout. So Zubairu, I don't know. I don't think he's that good. And the team he's put together, I don't think they're that good either. So possibly we'll be thinking they should have and should be qualifying for at least the semi-final from that game. But I think they come up against a side that is serious side in Senegal, and they always produce top talent. So that's going to be really difficult, a really difficult game. So I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are. And then we'll have a quick roundup of latest Nigerian news. I'll give my 2 cents about it, and I'd like to know what you think as well. The Juventus ready first offer. Juventus ready first offer for, I'm sure that's Victor Osimhen. Juventus have stepped up their pursuit for Super Eagles. I think Juventus right now, they're not the Juventus that they used to be. That's the thing. But if you want to, this is what I always say to Nigerian players or any player that wants to move to Saudi Pro League. I have no issues with the player going to Saudi Pro League. I have no issues with the player going to Saudi Pro League to earn those big bucks. They already earn crazy money at the minute, but I don't have any issues with them going to Saudi Pro League, Al Nassr, Al Ittihad, whichever one. But my thing is this: if you still think you have something to achieve in Europe, in European football, don't go. That's my advice, because the PR machine that is against African players is too tough for you to go to Saudi Pro League and think you come back to Europe and be valued the same way. So for me, if Victor Osimhen, you feel like you still have something to contribute, something to achieve in Europe, I think you should stay pat. And then speaking about Juventus preparing an offer for Victor Osimhen. Now, ordinarily, if this was the Juventus of old, the Juventus where you had Del Piero and the likes, then you would say, okay, go there. But they haven't been in their best shape. They haven't been in their best shape. Although one thing you can argue is that in Serie A, no club has really been super dominant in the past, say, 5 years. Right now, it seems Napoli and Inter Milan are competing for that league title for the Serie A Scudetto title. So, but Napoli seem to be having the advantage. So you just don't know how it's going to shake out. So if he goes to Juventus, that possibly could mean he could be in the title race, looking to win his second Scudetto. But the issue is, like I said, Juventus are not the side they used to be, and I've not seen enough transfer activity around that team to build the team in a way where the striker, is properly catered to, because you don't want a situation where you are the striker, but there's no creative midfielder bringing in the balls for you. There's no winger creating it for you, and you are expected to do everything yourself. And then from a Victor Osimhen's point of view, you don't want a situation where you go to Juventus and you struggle because the team is poorly constructed. Then the whole PR thing where they say, oh, Victor Osimhen is not that good, it's come back, and the sort of reception, the kind of why you're having to leave Napoli, because it's not just about football, it's about the craziness of the club. So according to reports in Italy, the Bianconeri are readying an offer around 85 million euros, so probably we're talking about 80 million pounds or about 81 million pounds or thereabout, including add-ons to tempt Napoli into selling their prized assets. The Serie A giants view Osimhen as a potential replacement for Dusan Vlahovic and Randal Kolomwani. Well, Victor Osimhen is better than those two players put together anyway. So if Juventus are able to sign him, that would be, a coup, a major transfer coup for them. So, but overall, for me, Victor Osimhen, I think, going to the Premier League should be his next step. But for me, if you want Victor Osimhen, if you want Nigeria's best player, if you want one of the best strikers in the world, then you have to pay him the going market rate. Stop all this PR nonsense. Stop all this, narrative you want to build around the player. Stop all that. You know, stop all that talking about attitude issues. What attitude issues? Can you compare his supposed attitude issues with with a Suarez, for instance, that was biting people left, right, and center. So can you compare that? So, but from a Nigerian perspective, you want him to go somewhere where he's playing actively, he can score goals, be at his best. So then that would translate, and that would then becomes transferable in the Super Eagles to the Super Eagles when he does play in the World Cup qualifiers and in the Nations Cup as well. That's coming on later on this year. And so, because let's face it, he is Nigeria's best player, and you want him playing very, very well. So there's a news talking about Racing Gang, FC Sion monitor Flying Eagles under 26 players who have caught the eye. Let me see what they're saying. I don't know what 6 players have caught the eye. I don't know what they're talking about, because this could just be, bunch of rumors. I don't know the players they're saying have caught the eye. See, Daniel Bami has delivered a short performance. Has it really caught the eye? Has it really been on fire? I don't think so. Has it really been that outstanding? He's been okay. He's been okay. So, but fair dues to him if these clubs are, interested in him. And they talk about Awal Ibrahim. For me, he doesn't really. I'm not being impressed with him myself. And then you talk about Simon Cletus. I know he came up with the assist for Areli Korabo. So I don't know, is that enough to get clubs interested in him? Well, happy for them if these clubs are indeed interested in them. Happy for players to always, progress in their careers. But I haven't really enjoyed watching this game, watching this team. And then it also talked about Ari Parabo, says whose speed and creativity on the wings. So that means people are saying nonsense then. Because he's not a winger, he's a striker. So I don't know what they're doing. So and then we must also talk about Tyreek George as well. Tyreek George, played very well again for Chelsea in the semi-finals of the UEFA Conference League. I think he played very well, although started the first half playing out of position. And for me, I felt like, what is this coach doing? He's a winger, that's where he thrives, and you play him out of position whilst you have a youngster that's a striker as well sitting on the bench. I think he played very, very well, especially in the second half when he actually got to play in his favored left wing position. I think he played very, very well there. And that is another person, another player that I'm hoping will switch national team allegiance, but I'm not quite sure if that will happen at all because of the way the NFF are going about their business. Because of the way they're going about their business, these players are there try to get them to play. He's been impressive for Chelsea this season. He's beginning to stamp, his plays in at least the squad, if not the first team. So I think that's somebody that the NFF should be looking at, regardless. That's someone that they should be looking at. And for me, I've always said this: do not wait for someone whose career was meant to be bad, then somehow, some way, he joined Nigeria and then his career then became good. That is not a strategy. Sometimes, most times, 99 times out of 100, you need to look for those ones that are actually doing the job, playing very well, scoring goals, being highly rated, and get them to be in your team. That's if you want to win. That's if you want to win. So which other Nigerian players are you looking forward to making moves, making transfers this window, that will be opening very soon, come the end of the season? So apart from Victor Osimhen, of course, I'd like him to make a move. Tolu, I'd like him to make a move as well because he's been very impressive for his Belgian club. Hopefully, he can make a move to a bigger and better club so we can even see more of him. So that's one player I'm hoping and praying that can make a move. And then Shola Gundona as well. That's another player I'm hoping that can make a move from Flamingo and maybe head towards Europe. So maybe the Belgian league, French league, or even with the Premier League, because with his pace, I think that's something that he would that allow him to thrive in the Premier League. So I think Shola Gundona is another one I'm looking at as well. So hopefully he can also make a move. And then speaking about Felix Agu, we've talked about him earlier on in the video, in the stream. So there were talks about him that is switching, looking very likely to switch his nationality to Nigeria, and that the NFF are waiting FIFA's clearance, and hopefully he would be part of the team that will be playing in that Unity Cup, where Nigeria will take on Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, and Ghana as well. So that's one we're all hoping, fingers crossed, let's say that everything comes out right. But we've also heard talks that he could be linked to a move that is linked to the move to Fulham. So for me, I think that would be a good move for him. And that would be a good move for him, especially if he's going there to be the number one guy. Because right now, that's how I think Nigerian players should be making their moves. Shouldn't be making a move to a club where you're living in a club where you're number one, to go to a club where you're going to be number two or number three. You don't want to be playing second or even third fiddle at any team. So for me, I think that would be a good move for Felix Agu, in my opinion. And then for Uche Crisantos, I think that's another player that he has had a good enough season in Getafe, and I think he is someone that can really cut it in at a bigger club, cut it in a top league. I know La Liga is a top league, but I think cut it in a bigger club in the top league. Because for me, the thing about Real Madrid and Barcelona is there's a way that the club operates. Because right now Real Madrid are stuck in those central areas, and it's almost like they don't know what to do with the central midfielder they have. They have Kamavinga, they have Shomani, and so they have Kamavinga playing at left back, which is madness. That's something I just don't like to see in football, and that's something I definitely don't want to see Crisantos Uche playing as a left back or as a right back. I want to see him in his favorite position and being dynamic in that position. So I think he is someone that I would love to see make a move, to a club higher than Getafe, or even make a move to, maybe the Premier League even, but somewhere where his skill set can, would be on a higher platform where people can see what it's about and he gets the adulation that he deserves. And speaking about him, he is someone that I've talked about on this channel, that I would like to see him play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. And yet again, he is someone that just has a Nigerian nationality. He wouldn't have to apply to switch or anything like that. He's someone that once you invite him, he's there in the squad. And that's one area where Nigeria lacks, we're lacking players. In that midfield, Ndidi, I'm sorry, he's no longer the player he used to be. He's no longer the player he used to be. And even the player he used to be, he wasn't that kind of player that could go box to box steady. And that's what's required in Eric Chell's style of football. You need those central midfielders to be energetic, to be able to go box to box, two-way. And he can do it. I think Uche Crisantos is more cut out for that role as opposed to Wilfred Ndidi. And Ebenezer Kinsimero is another player that is more cut out for that lone six role than Wilfred Ndidi. So, and then speaking about Wilfred Ndidi, for me, I think he should see if he can make one last move and not go down with Leicester City to the championship. I think he's paid his dues at Leicester City. He joined them, I think after Kante left, and then he was with them in the league for some time, and then they got relegated. And he stuck with the team while some players left. He stuck with the team alongside Leicester legend Jamie Vardy, and got promotion from Championship to the Premier League, and was with the team till they got relegated of course, the season still has a couple of games to go, but the relegation has been confirmed. All three promoted teams, so he possibly will be going down with them. For me, I just feel like he should seek a move to maybe Nottingham Forest, because I think he can still do a job, and especially for a side that will play him, that will use him intelligently and say, okay, we're not wanting you to be this Tony Cruz or Perlo. We just want you to shield our back four. I think he can still do a brilliant job there, just shielding the back four. No box to box type of thing. No being on the ball too much, but just sit in front of the back four and present that sort of defensive shield. So I think he can do that for a club like Nottingham Forest. I think he can do that for a club like Fulham as well. So that's someone I'm expecting to make. I'm hoping he makes, he makes that move and doesn't go down with, Leicester City. And then one other player, I don't think he will be making any move anytime soon, but I just hope he gets to play for the first team. And that is Victor Odor. He made his move, this January from Royal Antwerp to Southampton, and now they've got relegated to the Championship. I hope he gets game time, gets promoted to the first team, because right now I think he plays for the under 21 side of Southampton. So, and he's been out injured, all things considered. So I think if you get promoted, I'm hoping and praying he gets promoted by come off next season. And if he does get promoted from Southampton, that then means he can then show what he is about, and that means that's more options for the Nigerian Super Eagles. That means that's more options for the Nigerian Super Eagles for Eric Chill's side. So let me know your thoughts and opinions on what we've talked about so far. What do you think about Felix Agu? Because recent reports have been that he is switching his national team allegiance to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. NFF are waiting on the decision of FIFA. They're waiting for FIFA clearance. So that's one thing we have to look at. So what do you think about it? Is it a good move? Do you think he's good enough? Do you think he's the kind of quality of player that the Nigerian Super Eagles should be looking to have in their ranks? For me, I think he is the kind of player exactly that you want. Because right now, the way Eric Chales has used Olaino, I don't like it. He possibly wants his fullback to invert in midfield. I think Olaino is best playing on the right side. So if Felix Agu is able to, have his nationality switch confirmed, then I think he can then take up that role on the left side, of Nigeria's back four. So you have Olaina on one side providing balance, and have Felix Agu on the other side providing balance. But for me, what I don't want to see, even if Felix Agu is able to switch his nationality and have it confirmed by FIFA to Nigeria, I do not want Bruno Yemachi to be discarded, because he's been very, very good. He's a very attacking left back. He's shown what he can do when you give him time, when you let him play. He's shown that he can be an attack-minded threat. He's shown that he can be an attack-minded threat. So for me, I do not get this thing of having him on the bench, because in the last World Cup qualifying games, Eric Chill had Bruno Yemachi on the bench. For me, that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, and I don't like those sort of things where a player is very, very good. You come up with some weird and strange reasons, to have him on the bench. For me, I don't get that. I don't get that, and that's another thing. Felix Agu coming to join the team. You see what he can offer. I do not want to see him on the bench. Eric Sekou, Nigeria head coach. I hope you are listening. I hope you're watching this. Don't get an exciting talent and just stock him away on the bench. Don't be a Maresca. Don't have an exciting talent and play him out of position, because going into this Unity Cup later on this month, going into the World Cup qualifying games later on this year, going into the AFCON tournament itself, I don't want to see players being out of position. I want them playing in their rightful, proper position, because that's the only way you can really, really win things. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. So if Felix Agu does make that switch, who else would you be looking forward to seeing make that switch to, the Nigerian Super Eagles? For me, the list is long, but for me, number one on that list would be Ethan Waneri. Number one on that list for sure. Ethan Waneri should be making that nationality switch. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, because he feels a need, in a position where Nigeria, for whatever reason, rarely produce players in that position. We had JJ Okocha in that 10 role, and ever since JJ Okocha, who has been that 10 guy, Mikel was meant to be that number 10, but joined Chelsea. Happy he did join Chelsea, but it ended up being that Mourinho turned him from a 10 to a 6, so he couldn't quite, live up to that expectation of being a 10, but was an absolute world-class 6, in my opinion. So Ethan Wanderers now has emerged as one of those talents that can play in that role behind the striker. And for me, while I'm looking for a 10, while I want Ethan Wanderers is this: it opens up the field for players. It then allows certain players to be in their favored position. It then allows Ademola Lookman to be in his favored left wing, left midfield position. It then allows Chukwueze be in that right wing, right midfield position. So Ethan Waneri for that 10. And then Noah Adeji Sternberg is a magical player that I think, should be part of this setup immediately. Because you want to play the way you want to play with those three attack-minded players behind the striker. Then those two wing roles, you need to have more than one, even more than two, because they will be exhausted, after games, and you need people to come in and take their spot, maybe 20 minutes to go, 25 minutes to go in games, and to even start, other games if you're number one, who at the minute right now, I don't want to look bad, is the number one Nigerian left winger at the moment. Someone that can fit into that role, but you need someone that's coming up right behind him. And I did a video that got a few Arsenal fans upset, but didn't intend to upset anybody, but was just telling the truth. I said Ademola Lookman is better than every Arsenal left winger, all of them. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's not even a hot take. He is better than all of them. So when you have that kind of player in your ranks, let him play in his favorite position. Don't mock about. Don't play him in one odd position. Get a proper number 10, and you have this Ethan Wanderers there. Get him in the building. He can be a difference maker. One, he has the skill on the ball. He has the eye for goal. Eye for goal. He has the eye for a pass. He puts in that, hard shift. If you want your number 10 to press for you, Ethan Wanderers can do that without being forced, without being asked. He does it normally. And then that opens up your team for you. Players can then play in their favorite position. And can you imagine that sort of relationship between Ethan Wanderers and Victor Osimhen? Can you imagine the damage that those two would cause? Not only in the World Cup qualifiers and not only in the AFCON, but in the World Cup itself. Can you imagine Ethan Wanderers, Victor Osimhen combining with Wanderers playing behind him in that 10 role? Ademola Lookman on the left wing. Do you know the kind of magic those players, as in they can both provide? So that's one player I would like to see, make that big move, make that big switch. And like Chuba Akpom said, the NFF should be in touch with these players, because there's something I'm beginning to suspect with Ethan Wanderers. He's not injured, he's not. But he's been on the bench, even in games where Arsenal have been struggling recently. And he hasn't come on to play. Now, you may say, oh, I'm overstretching this, oh, you're overthinking it. But I've had a player that plays for an academy tell me something. And when this player told me this, I felt like, come on, you're just making an excuse because you've not made the first team for this team. He told me something. He told me that if you're a dual national and then you begin to give vibes that like you're not going to play for England, your pathway becomes a bit tight. At first I said, oh, come on, this is just an excuse. What are you talking about? Who will do that? Chelsea should be looking for winning. Arsenal should be looking for winning. Liverpool should be looking for winning. Manchester United should be looking for winning. So if you're that good in talent, then you should be promoted regardless. Then you should be stepping into the team regardless. So that's what I thought. But as I started watching certain games, seeing the need and gaps in certain teams, and you will not see top performing Nigerian eligible players in the academy be promoted to occupy those spots, but you see other academy players, promoted to occupy certain spots, then you scratch your head and say, what's going on? What's going on? So hopefully that's not what's happening to each and one area. Hopefully it's something more tactical. And if that is the case, if it's indeed the case that it's nothing to do with that, but for tactical reasons, Ateta wants to keep him out, then I think Ethan Wannery, Oge Arula, for you to begin to consider your future at Arsenal, because you need to be playing games at this stage in your career. People want to say he's young, but look at what young players are doing. I said it before, football is a young man's profession. It's not a profession you get into in your 30s. Football from 18 upwards to 30, that is your career. Now you can have the bonus of playing till you're 35 with modern medical technology, modern medicine, and fitness, and all those physical well-being. You can play till you're 35, 36. But your career mainly is 18 to 30. So if you don't start, if at 18 you're not playing for a team, especially when there's that gaping need, then you should begin to consider your future at that club. That's my thoughts and opinion on Ethan Wannery, but hopefully he makes that move, that switch to Nigeria. Justin Jima is another one I'm looking at. Say, yeah, guy, you got the pace. You can make that move as well, especially if you come in and play off, Victor Osimhen. That's another one you look at. And then you look at Lamine Yamal in Spain. Look at the magic he brings. Look at Jamal Musiala, the magic he brings for Bayern and for Germany. You ask yourself, Nigeria, do we not have those magical players anymore that could go past 2, 3, 4 players? But yes, sure we do. Sure we do. Sure you have those players that are magical that can, just whistle past players, whistle past defenders. But the NFF have to step their game to get these players in the building. First off, I'll start with the non-dual national. Onyebuchi Obasi is there. You can go get him, to play for at least the under-20 team. This under-20 team is there. This is a team that he should have been in, And then if you talk about dual nationals, Yoram Goma used to play for Chelsea. Now he's at Liverpool's academy. That's one you should consider as well. Noah Sternberg used to play for Borussia Mönchengladbach. Now he's at KRC Genk with he's Genk with Arokodare, in Belgium. So that's another player you should be looking at that has that magic that can come in, to the team. Not to forget Tyreek George. Tyreek George right now playing for Chelsea. That's another one you should be looking at, because you need these magical players in your team with flair, skill that can open up defenses, open up teams. So these are some players that can absolutely bring that magic. And then now I want to go back and talk about the Unity Cup. There's something I talked about in a previous video, part of the Nigerian football WAHALA, part of the mess and craziness in the Nigerian Football Federation, which I just have to talk about. I wish I wasn't having to talk about topics like this, but there you have it. If they keep coming up, I have to talk about it. Now you're having the likes of, we're hearing the news that Ahmed Musa would be captaining, that Unity Cup team. And I asked myself, why? What is the benefit? What is the benefit? If you want to host a retirement friendly game for Ahmed Musa, beautiful. Invite other players in. Yeah, Toure. Let's all come together and play a charity retirement match for Victor for Ahmed Musa. But giving him captain armband, even having him in the team, forget about captain. Having Ahmed Musa in this team for me does not make any sense. There's no value to it. He doesn't add any value to this team. He's past it, age-wise. He's past it. I think in terms of playing, he's shining in the Nigerian league, which is good for him. But he is past it, and bringing him in means a young player will be losing their spot. That's what it means. That means you could have your Uche Santos miss out. You could have, Felix Agu switches. You could have him miss out. You could have someone who is actually on form, like a Cyril Dessas. You could have him miss out as well because you want to bring Ahmed Musa in. And for me, he doesn't add anything to the team. He just doesn't. Now, people always, I've said it before, Super Eagles is not your pension package. It's not your compensation pack. You've done well for the country. You've given your all. You've given your best for the national team. It doesn't mean you must always be in the team. When you're past it, you should retire. And he indeed has retired. So I don't know why the NFF are looking to bring him out of retirement and then make him captain of the team in the Unity Cup. For me, my perspective on the Unity Cup has always been this: that the Unity Cup should be an opportunity for certain players who haven't got national team caps to get one. Those who have been playing well, French League, Premier League, young players coming up should be given. Should this tournament, Unity Cup, should be that opportunity for them to get their first cap or get their second cap. Josh Maja was invited once to the Nigerian Super Eagles team, and then after that, no one wants to look at him. He's scoring goals for fun with West Brom. People don't want to look at him. Why? I don't understand it. If your standards are so high that you don't want to invite a player who is on form for West Brom, then why should you be going to get a retiree? Why should you then be going to get a retiree from the MPFL who is already a retiree from the MPFL to play and captain the team? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You have to pick you have to pick pick your poison. You have to pick your position and stand by it. You don't say, "Oh, our standards are so high. Someone playing in West Brom, she shouldn't be playing for the Nigerian national team." Okay, well, if that's your point, okay, fair dues. That's your opinion. Then you don't go and bring someone who has retired, who's having been playing for a few minutes here and there for an MPFL side to now be the captain of your team going into an international game. Then you shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I think it's only in Nigeria you see it. It's only in the Nigerian Super Eagles you see someone make that decision. You see someone say that's the right decision to make. Now, I've had people make this argument against Uche Santos. Oh, he wasn't playing for such a big club. He went to Getafe. This is his first season in the top 5 European league. He shouldn't be rushed to the national team. I said, what are you talking about? He is playing very well. He's playing very well for Getafe in one of the top 5 European leagues, and you don't want him in. But somehow, some way, Al Hassan Yusuf finds his way in. Somehow, some way, Ahmed Musa finds his way in. And somehow, some way, Iheanacho will find his way in. I don't get it. Is it that Nigeria we are allergic to winning? Or, having sense? A country of very intelligent people making such mad decisions. Mad decisions. So if you just join the stream, thanks for joining. But want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on Felix Agu supposedly switching his nationality allegiance to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. What do you think about that news? What do you think about that move? Is it a good move in your eye? For me, I think that would be a very, very good move if and when he plays for the Nigerian Super Eagles. I think he will bring balance to the team. Balance by that I mean Online not get to play in his favored right back position, and then Felix Agu will get to play in his favored left back position. And then that means if Eritrea wants them to invert, then they can invert and keep creating balance. But like I said, Bruno Yemachi should not be discarded. He's too good for the national team in that attacking third, to just be dropped out. And I don't see any reason why he should be dropped out. I don't see that. I don't see why, he should be dropped out. And then going back to this AFCON, on the 20 African Cup of Nations, Nigeria quarterfinal opponents are now known, and that is the Senegalese on the 20 national team. Now, I don't know what your take is on it. Do you have hope that Nigeria can go into that game and defeat that Senegalese team? For me, I have zero hope. Zilch. Zero hope. If they go around and do it, well, I'll applaud them. I'll give them their flowers. I'll say they've done well. But what I've seen in the last 3 games, I've not been impressed by it at all. I've not been impressed by it at all. So for me, I can't go into that match with any sort of confidence and thinking that these players are going to do work some magic, or the Zubairo suddenly will work some magic going into that game. For me, I just don't see it. I just don't see it, going into that game. I just don't see it. And they've talked about, some European clubs being impressed with some players like Awal, Ibrahim, Ari Korabo, and the likes, and Bamiyi. For me, the one person that I have been impressed with, because I've seen what he's done at grassroots level, and then I've seen the bits and bobs he's done for Lillestrøm, and now he's showing what it's about, at the under-20 AFCON with Ari Korabo. Yeah, for that one, I can say yes, because I've seen him play, and he got a delightful goal in that game. Even if he had to feed off scraps in that game, in that under-20 game versus Kenya, he really had to feed off scraps. No one was really creating anything. So for me, yeah, under-20 Senegal, let me know what you think about it. For me, I don't have any hope. I have zero hope. And this is the first time in a long time, because for me, no matter how tough the opponent is, looking at a Nigerian side, I always say there's some sort of hope. Use the wingers, defend deep, hit on the break, counter, use the energy, high pressing, make it difficult for them to breathe and come out from the back. But with this team, I don't see anything that, says to me, yes, we can compete on an equal footing with Senegal. I do not see it. I do not see it at all. Mhm. Too early. So talking about Ato Okonkwo. Ato Okonkwo has 19 clean sheets for Wrexham, and has helped them qualify so rather gain promotion to the English Championship. That is the second tier of English football, right under the Premier League. And there's been talk of him, playing for Nigeria. I think he's someone that Nigeria can get to play for Nigeria. I think he's someone that the NFF can get to play for Nigeria, because for me, I feel that goalkeeping position. Salu Wabali right now, Nigeria's number one, no doubt about it. But you need competition. You need competition. You need competition. And right now, he doesn't have competition, because Maduka Okoye, each time he's got that opportunity to start a game, come off the bench for Stanley Wabali, he struggled. He's really, really struggled. So that's why I said Nigeria should begin to look for options, not just people who come in to be someone who's happy to be a number two, but someone who is happy to come in and indeed compete for that number one spot, so that whoever turns out to be the number one, is the best. And whoever turns out to be the number one will be looking over his shoulder, knowing that he has competition, on the bench. On the bench. So a bit about him. He played with Arsenal, was part of the Arsenal Academy before he left and joined Wrexham. So he has that pedigree then. But for me, I think he is a very good goalkeeper. To keep 19 clean sheets at any level is not an easy feat. And hopefully, I think he makes that switch to Nigeria because, like I said, Stanley Wabali in this competition. Maduka Okoye has had his legal troubles. I think that's sorted now. But on the footballing side of things, each time he's had that chance to, compete, he's not taking the chance with one hand, not on both hands. He's always struggled. But Francis Uzoho, I don't know what's happening with him. I don't think there's any way back for him to the Nigerian Super Eagles. So I think you need a fresh face to come in and compete with Stanley, Wabali. So that's how I see things. And just in a minute, I'll go on a quick 5 minutes break, and I'll be back. Please stay tuned on the channel. Yeah, so we're back. We're back. So the topics we talked about you know, um, the opponents of the under 20 of the Nigerian Flying Eagles, and that's Senegal. We talked about that. So just some opinions on that. Say John Jones, how you doing? So we've talked about that. So playing against Senegal, what's your take on that? Do you hold out any hope against Senegal? How do you think Nigeria should set up against Senegal? And then we also talked about Felix Agu, switching his national team allegiance to Nigeria. For me, that's something I'm open to bracing with, I think, with both hands, because I think he's a very, very good talent, and it helps bring balance to the team. Because sometimes you have who are very talented, but you wonder how do they fit into the national team setup. So I think he fits in nicely because he can then play at the left back to help, and then allow a line play at right back. And then if Chill wants to invest them that's fine. But that at least brings balance to the team. But like I said, even if he does choose to play for Nigerian Super Eagles, then play for Nigerian Super Eagles, Bruno Yemachi should still be in that team. That should be that should be a competition, unbiased competition between him and Bruno Yemachi, between Felix Agu and Bruno Yemachi. And more on the Nigerian Super Flying Eagles, rather. The game will be on Monday. The quarterfinal game for Senegal will be on Monday. And where you can watch it, I think but I'll say it is available on CAF TV. That is CAF official YouTube channel. You can go on there and you can watch the games live. So it's free. To the best of my knowledge, I think it's free. So you can watch the game there if you haven't been watching it at all. So more on this on this side. What is your take, on this quarterfinal fixture? How should Nigeria set up against this team? I think the best way to go about this, due to the fact that this team, in terms of talent, isn't that great, I think it would be to sit deep and hope to hit on the break. But you say that, even as I say that, I'm not even fully convinced, because I ask myself, who are those lightning quick wingers in the team? Who is the lightning quick winger that's in this team that when you sit back, you can hit on the counter and play the ball quickly, to that winger to help kickstart the counter attack? I don't see that sort of player in the team, and that's a problem. That's a worry. That is a worry for me. So that's the problem. And I feel that's the only way to go about this: sit deep, be compact, and hit on the counter. Because I don't think this team is really built to break down teams. In previous games, like the game versus Kenya, they dominated possession, but did nothing with the possession. Absolutely nothing with the possession. So for me, I think defending deep and being tough to break down should be, the way forward for the team. And then we also talked about a bit of transfer news, or when I say transfer rumors, rather. Victor Osimhen still linked Juventus. For me, Victor Osimhen going to Juventus, I don't see it as something that's really, really. I don't see it as being the best option at this minute. Though there was a time when Juventus used to be that side where once you hear Juventus is interested in a player, you're happy because things work perfectly there. The player can go there, win trophies, go to Champions Leagues, and all that. But um, this is not at Juventus. And in addition to the fact that the reports are saying Juventus are willing to pay £81 million for him, I don't think they have that kind of money at the minute, because I think they have been struggling financially. So I don't think they have that kind of money to afford Victor Osimhen, in my opinion. So for me, speaking of Victor Osimhen, I want him to go to a club where he can actually thrive and where he is respected. Because for whatever reason, each time a player is in Italy, something always happens. You saw what happened with Ademola Lookman at Atlanta with his coach, and then you saw what even happened to Victor Osimhen at Napoli, with the entire club. So I want a place where he can be peaceful, be calm, have peace, and play his best football possible. So for me, yeah, Victor Osimhen, yeah, I think probably Premier League would do him right. I'm speaking from a very, very selfish position. I would like him to come to Chelsea. But one thing I know is that he can thrive any league he goes to. He can thrive in any team he goes to, as long as he doesn't get to play for a coach that has this crazy mindset of playing players out of position. Then he will be fine. So for me, I think he will be fine 100%. I think Premier League should be his next destination. And then talk about other players like Tolu Arokodare. Tolu Arokodare, reports linking him to Bayern, linking him to Newcastle United. I think Newcastle will be an interesting move for him. I think that's an interesting move, especially if Isak will be leaving Liverpool. Leaving Newcastle to join Liverpool, for instance. Then that opens up, that slot for him, and then he would become the main striker. The bottom number being the main striker is that the team plays to your strength. The team plays to make you be good, to make you, what I say, to make you better. They play to get you in positions that suit your style of play, so you can be your best and score goals. But if you come in as a second fiddle, then the team is already shaped in the image, of uh, uh, image of the number one striker. And you don't want that competition because in Newcastle they play with one striker, they play with a lone striker. So if Isak is there, you're not going to bench Isak. So Isak moves to Liverpool, moves to Manchester United, or moves to an Arsenal even, then that opens up a slot for you. Another league again where I will, be okay for him to go to if he doesn't go to the Premier League will be the Portuguese league, especially if Victor Gyökeres leaves Sporting Lisbon and goes to and joins Arsenal, for instance. So I think that would be a good move for him as well if he decides if he materializes and he joins Sporting Lisbon or a Benfica that we've had reports and rumors linking him to Benfica. I think Arokodare can shine there as well. So it's what I'm looking at. And then we talked about Ndidi, Wilfred Ndidi, moving to or at least leaving Leicester City and maybe joining one of the new promoted sides in Burnley, for instance, or Leeds United, for instance, or join the team like Nottingham Forest or Fulham, to be that shield in front of their back four. I think that's something he can still do, But for me, where I think he would have issues is if any team signs him with the expectations of he will be the one on the ball, he will be the guy holding the ball, spreading the passes. I think that would be a bit too much to ask. I think if he's used as a prototypical defensive midfielder, just stand in front of the back four and shield it, you get the ball, you lay it off to more gifted footballers, then I think he can still do a job there for a club like Fulham, for a club like Nottingham Forest, for clubs that are just being promoted like your Burnley, for instance. I think he can still do a good job for those clubs. He can still do a decent job, for those clubs. So this we've talked about so far on here, and then even still going back to the Felix Agu thing, if he does switch, who is the next player you are looking forward to switching, that you're excited that you would want to make that switch to the Nigerian Super Eagles? So who would you be looking at? Who would you be looking at? So for me, I mentioned them like obvious ones like Ethan Wanderer. I've talked about was it? I forget his name now. Noah Adeji Stenberg. I talked about that one as well. So he can actually contribute. I talked about Divine Oyemachi. Divine Oyemachi not to play for the Super Eagles, but to play for the under 20 side. So these are exciting players. Can you imagine Ray Goma, Divine Oyemachi in his under 20 side? The kind of horror they would cause in the opposition defense. Tyreek Jordan as well. Do you know the kind of horror that you have your Areri Porabo in front of them? Do you know the kind of damage they will cause to teams? But for whatever reason, we're choosing to go with whoever else we have on this present under 20 team. So speaking about under 20 team, so how do you think I need to see this? I need to see this in the charts. I need to see your opinion. How do you think this under 20 team can and should set up against the Senegalese team? Also, do you see them having a chance? Do you see the Nigerian 20 team having a chance against the Senegalese team? Based off what you've seen from the games that is on the 20 side, these Flying Eagles have, played against your Morocco, played against your Tunisia, played against your Kenya, even, who are the whipping boys of the group. Everybody got their win off them. Morocco got their win off Kenya. Tunisia got their win off Kenya. But when it came time for Nigeria to get the points of them, decided to draw. Kenya said, it's not going to happen here. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It ended up being a draw. And Kenya would have won that game. So based on all of this, what do you think? How do you think is best for Nigeria to set up against this team? Do you think they even have a chance against this team? So let me know your thoughts and opinions. And then let me see your own list of players that you would be open to or that you're excited to see them. You're looking forward to them making that switch to to the Nigerian national team. And then even outside of that, what other players that may just have Nigerian citizenship that you're looking forward to saying, okay, this player, I think he's done enough to at least be considered to be part of the team. For me, two players in that regard spring to mind. Two of them. Two of them, and they are both midfielders because this team, Super Eagles, really needs top level midfielders. The Ebenezer Kinsimiro for one, and Uche Kusantos. These two players need to be in Nigeria's midfield. And I don't know why the NFF is taking so much time. These are players you just invite and it's easily done. You know, you don't have to fight any rules of nationality switches or anything like that. Immediately, they can be part, of your team. So the Flying Eagles have arrived, the city of Ismailia in Egypt, ahead of the game on Monday. So if you don't know where to watch it, you watch CAF TV on YouTube. So keep your eyes peeled on there for that. And they also have highlights on there, so you can check that out as well if you missed out on certain games. And so let's just say, for instance, this team manages to drag itself into the semi-final stages, and then that then means Nigeria then qualifies for the Under 20 World Cup. Would you want this particular team to be the team that goes to that World Cup, or you will want some new, fresh faces in this Flying Eagles team? And if your answer is you want some new faces in this team, who would you want to see? Which players would you want to see? I'll give us a moment and then I'll come back with my own sort of list of what I would love to see, in that list. So for me, Onyebo Chobasi should be there immediately. It should be there. No questions asked. Promise Meliga should be there. No questions asked. Should be there. Shola Ogundono should be there. No argument about it. Divine Oyomachi should be there as well. Divine Oyomachi, he's a dual national, so you have to do all those switches thing. Rio Ngoma as well should be there, should be brought in. So John Jones says the under 20 team needs a overhaul. Too many below average players. I agree. I agree with you 100%. I agree. The team needs an overhaul. Need to, even if they're able to drag themselves into that semi-final spot, which would then guarantee you a qualification into the 20 World Cup. I think this team needs to be shaken up, really, really, really shaken up. I don't know, maybe Ili Bamiyi there. He's the captain. I haven't really been crazy about him the way a lot of people have been. I think he's just been okay. He's just been okay for this level. He's not been super fantastic. So, the team would need a real overhaul. The main person I think that you don't touch is Areri Parabo. I think that's the only one that I think you can keep as saying, you can say he's sacred, that you don't try to change or mess about with. I think he is good enough. Yeah. So, but everyone else on the team can go. The keeper is okay. Because for me, I don't think goalkeeping is really the problem in under 20 tournaments. I think if you just do the basic things right as a goalkeeper, don't make harsh passes out from the back, make the right decisions, clear ball long when you have to clear, put yourself behind the ball, you're making that save. I think you don't. It's not really that bad. The keeper is okay. So you can on a 20 tournament, I think you can do with an okay goalkeeper, but the rest of the team you can't do with okay players, especially the attack-minded players that play in offensive positions. You can't do with players that are just okay. You need players that will electrify, the pitch, that can bring that pace and aggression into the way Nigeria is meant to be played. And then this coach, I don't even think he should even take the team to the World Cup. But we know how it works. Even if the team manages to just struggle into the semi-final, and they'll just say, okay, we're going to take him. He's going to lead the team. He got the team qualified, so he might as well. So for me, no, the team, I agree. John Jones, the team should be overhauled. The team should have new players in the team. So I'd like to see some scoreline predictions right now. I know it's still a ways away, Today is Friday, and you still have Saturday, Sunday, and then before you get to Monday, obviously, um, and then you have the game. So, what are your predictions going into that game? So, if you just joined the channel, thanks for joining. Hope you click that like button, click the subscribe button as well, and share this video to people you feel will love this sort of content, love football content. Also, I'd like to say this: if you want to join me on this the channel on live streams where we can, have discussions face to face, have debates face to face, let me know, and I'll send you the links prior to a video. I'm going to have those insightful discussions and have those sort of debates as well. And now, my Nigerian football fans, I'm planning to have a video, a live stream with um, a Ghanaian YouTube content creator as well, and we'll have that discussion on here. So it will be a Nigeria versus Ghana, and you know how that gets. So I want all of you to be on here in your numbers, and let's have that debate. Nigeria Ghana, who's better? Nigeria Ghana, who has the better chance of winning this Unity Cup, tournament? Where of course Nigeria will be in the tournament, Jamaica will be in the tournament as well, TNT will also be in the tournament. So we'll have that debate: who has the best chance of winning that competition, and so we'll have the discussion. So it'll be something where he'll be on here, and we'll have that back and forth. I'd like you all to be on here as well for that debate. If you would like to join a live call-in session as well, let me know in the chats, and we'll send links out to you. So speaking on Ghana, their World Cup qualifying hopes back on track. Nigeria still struggling, with World Cup qualification, and FIFA. I don't know what FIFA they're trying to do. We keep hearing, oh, Nigeria hoping on the deduction of points from South Africa will be good news for Nigeria, but we haven't heard officially that 3 points have been deducted from South Africa and 3 goals have been awarded against South Africa. We haven't seen those. We haven't seen that. It makes a whole lot of difference, because even if it turns out that Benin Republic, I think, gets that 3 points, it then means they move to 9, and then Nigeria would then be 2 points, I think, behind them, and that's always surmountable. And so, what I touched on that, for me, I just hope nothing strange is going on, because in 2018 there was no argument. Nigeria got the fine, the player got suspended, and Nigeria missed out, got the points awarded against them, got the goals awarded against them. So we don't want to see any odd business here. Follow precedents, FIFA. Follow precedents that you set. Follow your own regulations, and make sure South Africa have their points deducted from them. And speaking of South Africa have been good. They've been very good in this tournament, because their coach has said he just found a way, set up a good structure. We are going to sit deep and we'll hit you on the break, hit you with quick counter attacks. So that is something that this coach for the 20 side hasn't done. Firstly, the way he's put the team together, doesn't inspire anyone because of the quality of players he has put together. And then how he applies them on the pitch, it makes you scratch your head. Because the other time I saw Arekorabo way back in Nigerian half, having to get the ball, run back, to the 18 and lay the ball before he could anticipate the pass. And then having players that you're playing in completely strange positions. If you have a right winger, then maybe he plays left wing. Okay, kind of understandable. But when you have a supposed right winger or left winger that plays as a 6, then it begins to confuse me. Like how, because the characteristics you need to play in that central midfield role is very, very different from the characteristics you need as a player to play as a winger. So, but for whatever reason, that's what he's chosen to do with Olise. And I feel sorry for the kid because the first game he really struggled. He looked out of place. He looked like he should be back home. Sleeping. He really struggled. And then the second game, he played out of position completely. Played as a right winger, and then he even struggled more there. And then the last game versus Kenya, he started off the bench. So uh, it's just sad that you have such talents and for whatever reason choose not to use them. So Senegal, does Nigeria have a chance? Me, I don't think they do. And speaking about Felix, what are your thoughts and opinions about his reported or rumored switch of nationality to Nigeria? Let's see how that. What are your thoughts about it? We've heard about Kani Chukwuemeka, the same thing, but at this point, that hasn't happened. We've heard about Leslie Ugochukwu as well, but at this point, that hasn't happened. And I think why all these things, or why we're having these reports and these players have not officially confirmed their switches, nationality switches, what I think is happening is that the NFF haven't done their job. They haven't done their job. They haven't done their job, cross all the I's, all the T's, take your time to convince the players, take your time to sell them the Nigerian football project, and when that's done, you have them sealed in. I don't think they have done what they can and should do. And people come up with all this. Oh, if you need to convince a player, then the player shouldn't be playing for you. That's just fantasy island. That's just people fantasizing. Because when you look at other countries, what they do, you look at what Morocco is on about. Look at what France they're even doing. So you see that Belgium, Greece. So you see that countries are always looking for top talent that are eligible to play for them. And so you don't just sit on your arms and expect things to work. You don't just sit on your arms and expect things to work. And so, pardon me, I'll be back in, I'll take a few minutes break, and I'll be back in about 3 to 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere. Yeah, so we're back. This is the final leg of this live stream. Thanks for all those that have been, that have been here with me from the very first minute. Sorry, from the very first minute. So thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel and do share this channel as well. Click the like button so it lets YouTube know this is the sort of content you like. And now, first, let's run through all the topics we've talked about from the beginning of the show. We talked about the under 20 team and the quarterfinals coming up, having to come up against Senegal. Is there any hope for this side? For me, I don't think there is any hope. But we've seen shocks happen before in games where you never ever believed that that a team could get a result. No one would have ever believed that Greece would win. Euro 2000 tournament. Um, uh, 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 but they did. But they did. The one tournament where you had Portugal, you had Holland flying high. Somehow they found a way to win. So maybe that happens here. Maybe this under 20 side are able to get into the semi-finals. Because for me, I think qualifying for the World Cup would be key for the development of Nigerian under 20 players. But let's see how that goes. You're fully confident. I'm just saying maybe Coach Zubairu can just decide let's be compact, be tough to beat, and hit on the counter attack. But then again, even as I say that, I ask myself, who are those pacey wingers that are exciting that can, you know, help the team hit the opponents on the break, on quick breaks, on quick offensive transition. But I can't think of any player on the pitch that can do that. So that is a limitation, even to that suggestion that I've made. We talk about Felix Agu switching nationality to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. Let's see how that shakes down. Says NFF are waiting for clarification, waiting for confirmation from FIFA. So let's see how that happens, if it indeed happens, because we've heard similar news before. We've heard similar reports before about players like your Kanu Chukwuemeka, currently is on loan to Dortmund from Chelsea. We've heard that he, was open to a nationality switch, that he has indeed, put in a nationality switch request, but nothing has come out of that. We heard same thing about Leslie Gochuko as well, but nothing has come out of that. But why I feel Felix Agu is a bit different is that he's actually come up in interviews to say, look, I want to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. It is a great honor. It will be a great honor for me, as speaking as Felix Agu right now, that it will be a great honor for me, for him to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. It will bring joy to himself, to his family, alongside, Justin Jima, that they discussed this, so that at least gives us an indication that yeah, he is open to the idea, he is open to that concept to the idea of playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So so that's good news in that regard. But has it actually happened? Has it actually put in that request yet, or is this just some other thing, some other reports making the rounds? But for me, like I said, if indeed he has done that, I think he has the ability to contribute immensely to this Nigerian Super Eagles team, because I think he will help provide that balance that I think every chill is sort of looking for. Because if he decides to invest his wing backs or full backs, then you can have Olaina inverting in from the right back spot, and you can have Felix Agu inverting from that left back spot. But then again, speaking about inverting, I prefer an orthodox attack-minded a wing back or full back that just stretches the play, and allows the wingers to cut in, and they can support with creating, holding with, and putting those crosses into the box. So, but either way, I think he brings that to the table. So if you have him on there, then I think that's special. And then also, I'm talking about, in light of that, what other players would you want to see, make that switch to the Nigerian, not just the Nigerian Super Eagles, but to the Nigerian football team, to Nigerian football teams in general. So for me, I've talked about Noah Sternberg, for instance. I've talked about Divine Nyomachi, he is an exciting talent as well. He's someone to be looked at. People call him the new Ademola Lookman. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a new Ademola Lookman, but he's got ability. He has got serious ability. And I think a player like that is someone that should have reached nationality and should be playing in this under 20 tournament because he has the ability to be magical on the pitch. And I talk about Rio Ngoma as well. He is another magical player. Nigeria has lost for whatever reason. Jamal Musiala to Germany. He's gone. Bukayo Saka is to Arsenal. I mean to England. So that is gone obviously off the table. But the likes of Rio Ngoma that are there. Did under 20 Nigeria have game today? No, not today. It will be on Monday. Jacob, it will be on Monday. The under 20 quarterfinals will be on Monday against Senegal. I'm dreading that fixture. They'll play on Monday. So back to the players, I think could make that switch and should make that switch. You've talked about Rio. I've talked about Rio Ngoma. I've talked about Divine Oyema. These are players that could and should make that switch to play for the under 20 side. And then you've got your Tyreek Jordan as well. Been on excellent form for Chelsea. I think he's 18 going on 19. So I think he would fit in perfectly to the under 20 side for the World Cup. So a player that can actually make those moves, moves, the switches, and have real impact in the various tiers of Nigerian football. And then we talked about the same thing about Ahmed Musa leading out the Nigerian Super Eagles, in the Unity Cup. For me, I don't understand why that is even a topic for discussion. Like, why would anyone want someone who's past his best to be leading out a national team? And I've said it before, this is not your retirement package. The Super Eagles is not. If you want to get visibility, you're well known. Start a podcast, for instance. Start a podcast, do something on socials where your face is there, that you get to talk. I'm sure some radio channel in Nigeria or some TV sports channel in Nigeria would love to have you as a pundit on there. I think even some channels overseas will want to have you on there as an expert. So there's no need for you to want to use the Nigerian Super Eagles as a platform because you're past it. Who else remembers Peter Rufai? Peter Rufai, arguably Nigeria's best goalkeeper, but he didn't leave when he should have left. He did not leave when he should have left. It was very good USA 94, very, very good Tunisia 94. And then he stayed on, was good. And then he kept keeping him, he kept on coming back to the team. And then the last performance he had was super woeful. So as a player, sometimes you look at it and say, okay, I've done my bit, I've given my all to the national team, I've worked so hard for this team. Now is my time to enjoy my retirement, relax. You don't have to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. He's past it. So I've said someone know your thoughts and opinions on that. I don't see him as someone that can actually contribute to the team at this stage in his career. So I don't know why people keep wanting him to be there. I don't know who's in the NFL that keeps wanting to be there. And that's my issue with Nigerian football setup. Even if you want to do things based on tribe, right? Which is stupid. It's stupid on that is just pure stupidity. For me, you should focus on things that help you win, not any other distraction. Now, there's this young kid, Abubakar, that has been scoring tons and tons and tons of goals for Genk, the academy side. So why is he not in this World Cup team? There's another Umar Abdullahi as well that plays for the same team, another exciting talent. I think he's a winger. Why is he not in this team? That is what takes my annoyance to this level. Don't get me wrong. Once I see the under 20 team, my annoyance is already here. It's already here. It's annoying. But what annoys me is if you want to do things based on tribe, which you shouldn't do anyway because it's stupid. But if you decide to do that, why not get the people who are of your tribe, that are super good, that are super talented, that are having excellent seasons for their clubs to play in that position. That just boggles my mind. So it's just annoying because the first one is stupid and wrong on its own. You didn't drive as basis of anything. It's wrong, it's stupid, it shouldn't happen. If you want to progress, that's the way you do things. But if you decide that that's how you want to do it, why not get people who are top of their class, top of their group? So yeah. So I don't think. So I talk about nationality switches, and I talk about Felix Agu. I think he can contribute to the Super Eagles right now if he does make that switch. Justin Jima is another one I'm looking at because I think the way it is right now, Justin Jima is waiting in the ranks, he's waiting on the flanks, he's waiting for Felix Agu's switch to be completed, and he will then file his. Because from what I can gather is that they are both close, they play for the same team, their parents are close, they have discussions amongst themselves. They have discussed about the possibility and excitement they have for both playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles. So it's something that is something that they share. And so I think so. Once it happens for Felix Agu, the very next thing that we'll hear is that Justin Jima's own nationality switch has been filed and has been confirmed by FIFA. But all I'm saying is I hope this is properly done, because we know there's no smoke without fire, which means for these reports to be sneaking out, then that means there must be some truth to it. There must be some leanings from the players, some information from the players saying, okay, yes, I'm thinking about doing this. Yes, I want to do this. I want to, make this switch. But are the Nigerian Football Federation doing their own part to ensure this moves through, this scales through? Are they doing their own part of this? Are they, putting in the work in this regard? So that's that about nationality switches, and that's that about on that 20 side. And then we talked a bit about transfers. Nigerian players linked to transfers to different clubs. We've had a link that Juventus are willing to pay, or rather readying an 85 million euro bid for the services of Victor Osimhen to sign him off of Napoli. And of course, I think the ties between Victor Osimhen and Napoli are, the relationship between them is broken down. They want him gone, and I don't think he wants to play for Napoli anymore. So if Juventus has a sort of bid ready, possibly they accept it. And the question I ask is, why would an Italian team want to offer 85 million euros for a player whose release clause is now 75 million euros? Italian teams don't do that. Italian teams don't do that. It's English teams or a team like Chelsea that will say, for whatever reason, we want to overpay the release clause so we can, pay in little chunks afterwards, or in smaller installments afterwards. But for Juventus, Italian teams, German teams, they are more thrifty, they are more frugal in their spending. So why would Juventus pay that sort of money? And then for me, even if I think he's more than worth it, but for me, and then I think again, is Juventus really the absolute best team for him to go to, for Victor Osimhen to go to, for the just best player to go to? I don't think so. I don't think so. I would love to know what you think in the comment section, but I don't think that's the best place for him to move to. I don't think that's the best club for him to move to. 4, 5 years or 6 years ago, no brainer. Juventus comes for you. That's a club you want to go to. Juventus, the same vein with Real Madrid, and the same, they occupy the same space with Bayern Munich, but not in this present guise, not in this present dispensation at Juventus. It's a bit of a not case, in my opinion. So I don't think that is where he should be going to. In my opinion, I think his next move should be, the Premier League. We know the whole PR nonsense is about. People complain about his salary, which is just crazy. Maguire earns 9.8. That's a defender. And, people like Lewandowski are on 29, 30 million pounds. And then Haaland is on 27. So I don't understand how Victor Osimhen, who is looking at 10, now is now super expensive. And let me tell you the power of this PR. I posted a video about Victor Osimhen being better than Harry Kane, which is something I believe. I posted it on my TikTok and I posted it on YouTube as well. I said he's better than Harry Kane. And someone put in the comments, that why wouldn't I say that, something to the effect that he is the highest paid when he earns more than every other striker. I look at it and said, that's odd. How would you say that? But the PR machine that has been grinding against Victor Osimhen, trying to paint him as this greedy person, as this greedy player that only focus is money. Forget about all the people who earn more than he does. that earns more than he does. I've said it before. £10,000 a week for you and I is mad money. I don't know, maybe some of you on here are multimillionaires in pounds, maybe. But £10,000 a week or even a month for an everyday person is crazy money, is mad money. It's mad money. So when you hear a player is going for 200,000, is insisting that he wants to earn 200,000, is insisting to earn 250, not 200. I'm sure it blows your mind. So like, wow, they're offering you 200. You don't want to take. You're asking for 250. You must be greedy. But before you make that judgment, before you make that assessment, ask yourself, what are other players of the same caliber earning? What do players in football earn? Then when you now get that picture, then you can now make a decision as to, oh, this person is greedy, this person is not greedy, this person is only motivated by money, it's not. When you look at what other people earn, and I've called out a list. Harry Maguire, we all see how he is, but it's on £9.8 million. You see what Harry Kane earns, you see what Lewandowski earns, you see what Haaland earns. Even what Mason Mount earns at Manchester United. So, footballers earn crazy money. And I remember when Gallagher was at Chelsea, and you had the contract negotiations, the club didn't want to pay, but the whole narrative coming out from the media was, pay him whatever he wants. He's just the best player. With Cole Palmer in the team then, pay him whatever he wants. He's the best player. So for Victor Osimhen now, he's the one who's greedy. I don't get it. While I understand football money is crazy, but to get the top players, you have to pay top dollar. So Victor Osimhen, hopefully goes somewhere where he's truly valued. I selfishly want him to come to Chelsea, but if they don't value him, then he shouldn't bother coming. That's it. And then we looked at other players that could make moves as well, like Toraro Kodare, and we had Newcastle being interested, we had Bayern being interested as well. But the thing with the Bayern thing is, I think that if it indeed becomes concrete, I think it's a bit of a poison chalice because of how they play. Like most teams, they play with a lone number 9. And Harry Kane, you're not going to bench Harry Kane. That's just it, not just because he is very, very good, he's a top-level striker, he's a world-class striker, but because of the clout he has right now, the personality he has right now, you, as a coach, you're not going to bench him in favor of someone who is still coming up the ladder in Toraro Kodare. So for me, I don't think he should make that move. I rather think if the move for Newcastle opens up, if Alexander Isak joins Liverpool, for instance, or Arsenal, for instance, then I think that opens up, a spot at Newcastle for him. And because they play, like I said, with like most teams in this present age, play with a lone striker, you rarely see a team playing with 2 strikers. I think that would suit him perfectly. And now again, moving to a newly promoted club could be a problem. That's why I say a newly promoted club could be a problem, because they usually come in, want to play like they are Manchester City while they have their own low budget. That's the problem with this team. They come in wanting to play like Guardiola's side, but they have this low budget, and then that means you as a striker, you don't get the opportunities that you want to get, that you need to get to score goals. You start struggling, and then once you go to a Burnley and you don't cut it there, it becomes difficult for you to shine somewhere else. So it's better for you to go to a top club that is higher up. So if you shine there, that's good. You can go to an even bigger club. But if you struggle there, there are still reasonable clubs you can go to. But if you go to a less fancy club and struggle, that means you could find it difficult to really progress in your career. So that's why I think Tolo Arokoda potentially making a move to a newly promoted side in the Premier League. I don't think that is the best for him, in my opinion. But the player that would suit would be Wilfred Ndidi. I've talked about him before. Right now, he's shown his loyalty to Leicester City. He stayed with them. They got relegated. He stayed with them. He stood pat, and then helped them win the championship title, league title, and gain promotion to the Premier League. He stayed all through with them, and now the team is relegated. I think this is the time that he can move. I think a newly promoted side can do with his Premier League experience, especially if they use him rightly, play him in that sixth row behind the attacking midfield of the team and in front of the back four. So to create that connection between the attacking midfield and the defense, I think he can still do that kind of function. He can still be useful, in that regard. So I think, in that regard, I think Wilfred Ndidi can make that sort of move, or maybe he can even move to a Fulham or to a Nottingham Forest. I think the way Nottingham Forest plays, being compact and hitting on the break with Hosnodoy and Elanga, I think Wilfred Ndidi can be that sort of shield in defense and be in front of the back four and provide that sort of shielding for them. And the way I look at Nottingham Forest, anyhow, like we say, they will surely qualify for European spots. Right now, they're still in the hunt for Champions League places, and though they've fallen off a bit, but I still think that they are able to somehow, some way finish in those European spots, even if it's in a UEFA Conference League spot. I think they will be able to finish there, though it may be a bit disappointing for their fans, because to be third for the better part of the season and then fall out of Champions League spots, fall out of Europa League spots, and fall into a Conference League spot may not be, what they may see that as a disappointment. But if they stand back and look at it and say, start of the season, no one expected Nottingham Forest to be, in any sort of competition for European spots, but were able to finish in European spots, then that's still a good season. So thinking about that, Wilfred Ndidi, I think, can have impact in a club like that. Like I've always said, style make games. Style makes players. If you go to a team where the coaching style of play doesn't mesh with how you play, then you're going to struggle. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. So maybe even going to Leeds United would be sort of a struggle for him, because Farka, if he stays there, it will still be the same high octane, high line sort of business, and I'm not sure if he will cut it. And so at this point, I'm gradually coming towards the end of this video. I want to say big thank you for those who've been with me all through this video, supporting, subscribing, sharing the video, putting your comments in the comment section. Captain Africa, I want to say thank you for your comments. John Jones, thank you for your comments. And Jacob Joel Hackpot, I hope I got that name pronounced correctly. If not, let me see. You can drop in the chats, phonetically how your name is pronounced. But so thank you all for watching the channel, being on here, showing all your support. And later on, I'll be having a Ghanaian football fan on here, and we'll be having serious banter. This is Nigeria versus Ghana civil war. I'm joking, but it's going to be a fun time, and I want all people who view this channel, subscribe to this channel, to come and let's have a nice discussion. Who is the better African side? For sure, Nigeria is. People might say something different, but Nigeria is. But Ghanaians can have something to talk about, because right now they are in a better spot in terms of World Cup qualification. But Nigeria is a way better side than they are. We'll have discussions about also who's going to win the Unity Cup, who will win this Unity Cup. So that's something you should also look forward to. And also we'll have a discussion about dual national switching. So does Ghana have the same challenges that Nigeria does have at the minute? We'll have those discussions. We'll have a nice time on here. So I would say do thank you for being on here, sticking with me, and do have a fantastic rest of your day. Try to get some good rest and have some good food. Spend time with your family and have a splendid rest of your day. So stay well and stay blessed. Bye bye.